in with Teo.
Today, I'm sitting down with somebody I got a lot of respect for, a young barber who's only 21, right?
I'm 20 right now. I'm
20.
turning 21 pretty soon
When's your birthday?
in July.
July. All right, well, he's only 20 years old, but has already built a name for himself in this industry. We worked side by side for 2 years, and during that time, we pushed each other to stay consistent, motivated, and sharp with the Clippers and with the content. His work ethic, his focus, and the way he moves at such a young age is rare. He's got a strong clientele, knows how to use social media to his advantage, and he's still just getting started. CJ's the type of barber that inspires other young barbers to level up, and I'm proud to have watched his growth firsthand. Let's tap in with CJ. Now, CJ, first question: how long have you been cutting hair?
All right, so back to when I started cutting hair was back in like junior year of high school. I had got back from COVID. We had a break year, so first year back was like my open door opportunity. Honestly, it was something that was new to me. I never try and pitch something at my school, so when I seen like, oh, I took a break year, I was focusing on cutting for that whole break, go back into school. It's like, all right, now this is my opportunity. So it's been about 4 years now, going into 4 years.
Well, you said you started COVID time, right?
Yeah,
that was 2020, so that's 5 years.
Yeah, going into like
So
5
5
years
years
right now, bro. That's time flying.
Would you say everything with COVID and that opportunity where barbershops closed down, would you say that opportunity was what made you go for it?
Honestly,
around that time, I remember everybody needed a cut.
Mm-hmm.
You know?
Yeah, and I took that as an opportunity to also learn how to cut my hair. So from there, I went to my brother, started cutting his hair, close friends. And now when I seen I was getting a little bit sharp, I started putting it up on Instagram, and then I was getting more attention from people I was in high school with.
Yeah, and I'm sure all the barbers that were already established, I'm sure them like hiking up prices, which is what everybody did. Especially like taking advantage of the fact that, barbershops were closed. They had to maybe cut at their house. They were taking advantage and just, $100 for a cut. And then you come in, new barber, and you're like, I'll take a dub.
Right.
Because that was another question I wanted to ask. Like, did you start just like, because you said you cut your brother, you cut him for free, obviously.
Yeah.
Did you cut other people for free?
When I was starting off, yeah.
Just telling people like, let me practice on
Exactly. It was more so like I had an opportunity and I wanted to go for it. Even if I wasn't completely sure if I could do the haircut, I still had them sit on my seat and give them they gave me a chance to give them a cut. So that really gave me a lot of motivation because they seen something in me I didn't really see all the way yet.
Right. I say the same thing. Like people that let me cut them in the beginning of my career, I feel like they had more confidence in me than I had in myself. I was like, you sure, bro? Because I don't know if this is going to look right. But, that's really what got me started,
Exactly.
What really got you into barbering, though, besides, like, taking advantage of that opportunity with COVID?
So what really got me into barbering was just seeing a lot of young barbers also cutting, making content. I felt like that's something I genuinely wanted to do. Like, especially like coming out of high school, that was my topic for most of my YouTube videos. High school barber.
Yeah.
So honestly,
and that's the best way to go, man. When you have that that theme, 19-year-old barber or 18-year-old barber, that's like your thing that you kind of like keep reposting in different ways.
Right.
That's what brings people in. They're like, oh damn, 18-year-old barber, let's see this.
Yeah, and back then when they seen I was charging like 15, 20 for a cut, it also like sparked the interest too, because it's like, wow, this is a pretty good cut for only this much amount of money, But it was also like, during COVID, so he's cutting during COVID and he's charging this amount, so it was a win-win kind of situation.
So what were you charging at first? Like when you started charging people, what was your price?
I believe I started off at $15.
15. That makes sense with inflation, because when I started, it was $5 shape ups, $10 cuts. That's what I was doing in the basement.
Yeah,
all day, man. I was in high school, and to me that was good money. If I can get like 10 people for the week, it's $100. Like I'm good. I ain't got no bills. Like that's all I needed. Yeah. But what would you say was your biggest challenges starting out?
Honestly, bro, I had to understand more about myself and barbering. It's a lot that comes to it. It's not just you picking up some clippers, and it takes a lot of discipline, bro. That's something you got to build character to. You got to be open to change. You know what I'm saying? So once I really sat down and took time to understand the craft, find love for it, now I'm like, all right, boom, let's take it all the way. It's like its own journey. You kind of see yourself grow throughout the journey. You make connections with other people. You get opportunities. You know what I'm saying?
Did you have a job before cutting hair?
I actually did. So my first job was working at Saladworks, and
Saladworks.
yeah, I didn't really like it too much because I'm
sure
over here.
Saladworks. No?
I'm washing bowls. I'm coming in at like 10 in the morning. It's like piles of bowls. I'm burnt out, and so I'm there. I'm thinking about future careers, and that's when I actually started cutting hair.
Yeah.
That was my first job, and I remember I saved up my first check and bought the corded, the Oster fast feeds.
Good clipper, yeah. One of my
those
favorites.
were my first clippers, and so basically I invested my money from Saladworks into my barbering, and I was also doing little things like detail, car details, selling stuff on OfferUp.
Yeah, that's cool, man. It was a little easier for me starting out. My dad was like a basement barber, already had the clippers, had some good clippers. He had the Oster fast feeds and the Andis Outliners corded. And that's what made it really easy for me to get into, because he was already cutting my friends for free. And then whenever he was like, oh, I'm tired from work, I don't feel like cutting, they would let me cut them. So that was kind of like my intro into it. I didn't have to worry about making that initial investment. You know what I mean? So it was a little easier for me. Plus, I had my dad upstairs in case I chipped somebody. He'd come downstairs and fix it, which I don't think I ever had to do, you know, because that's a bad look. You know what I mean? You tell your man, it's like, yo, I chipped you up. Let me get my dad upstairs. You know what I mean? Like,
my pop, he gonna fix out this blend for you real quick.
How old were you when you were working at Saladworks?
When I was Saladworks, when I was working there, I believe I was like 14, turning 15.
Yeah. My first job was at the bakery, and they had me doing all the shit work, you know, like working the big mixer, washing dishes, you know, and I couldn't stand around. Even if I had like something in the oven or the microwave, they'd be like, come on, you know, do something, like sweep, act like you're doing something.
That's crazy. Yeah. You just reminded me of something. I remember one time, like, it was really not busy at Saladworks, and the manager had me clean the walls and the ceiling, bro.
Just do something, right?
Do something, bro. I'm just like, dang. All right.
At the time, I was getting paid like $7.25 an hour minus taxes.
Yeah.
Like, that is nothing, man. I think a good paycheck for me back then, because I was working Saturday and Sunday mornings, and every once in a while they'll have me work like a Thursday after school, and that's when I would see a nice check if I did that Thursday overtime. But like a nice check back then was like I was getting paid every 2 weeks, so like a $200 check was a good check. You know what I mean?
That's crazy.
Very crazy, man. But when you look back, what are some key moments that shaped your career? Like, what were those single-handed decisions that you think, like, you look back on and you're like, wow, I'm glad I made that decision, and because it really projected my career and put me on the right path? What would you say those moments were?
So one of the most biggest things I'll say that really made an impact on my career was taking the opportunity to work at the barbershop.
And Hair Wizards, that was your first barbershop.
Yep.
Yeah.
Hair Wizard Barbershop, my first barbershop. I was getting haircut by Angel for a very long time since I was
Shout out Angel.
So he was really my motivation, and Dom, we've been cool. He helped me get my license, and I just seen the structure of this barbershop. You know, somewhere I came to as a kid. So,
was Angel getting cut at Frankfurt at the time?
So when I was getting cut, it was here, and I was with Angel. So he was cutting here at first, and I was just one of those people who needed my cut every 2 weeks. And I pictured myself as a barber, but I didn't really see it until it just happened. You know? So working at the barbershop made an impact in my career because there were so many different faces, so many different hairs. I was cutting so many different challenges. It really put me in situations that I wasn't comfortable in, but I could say that really humbled me and got me to understand this craft better.
Now, what made you want to get a cut at Hair Wizards of all places? What was it about Hair Wizards?
You know what? I still remember this answer. I remember it was 5th grade. I was at Silas Cohen, and one of my close homies, his name was Jacob. He had a real cool design on his, like, the side of his head. I'm like, yo, this is crazy. Like,
that was Angel who did that?
Honestly, I'm not sure who did it.
You just knew Hair Wizards.
I knew Hair Wizards did it.
You see that, what you said there, that's exactly why I say we're only as strong as our weakest link. If we have a team of barbers and one barber does something crazy to somebody's head, all of Hair Wizards is doing that.
Now it's an expectation.
Or let's say another extreme, like a barber is always drunk at work. They just over there drinking in the back.
They over here passing around beers during the
they exaggerate it. But like luckily it was a good thing that like somebody put out and it was like, okay, Hair Wizards does good designs. They cut sharp.
So that was something like I wanted to get my first design, something small. It was like 2 lines on the side of my head, and he came in with something crazy. So it was just the thought of having a design on my head and the name Hair Wizards sound like a magical place to get a haircut.
I love the name. That's definitely what drew me in. I think it's a good brand. And then he said that was his mom's salon before too, so that's cool. Now, so one of the key moments was making the decision to join a good team, join Hair Wizards, and what was the other thing you said?
Another decision, honestly, is being open to cutting all people. A lot of barbers I see sometimes try and stick with a hair they're comfortable with, but
then you said getting comfortable with being uncomfortable.
Exactly.
Kind of stepping outside the comfort zone to level up.
I remember Dom told me something like, basically he took every opportunity he had, right? So I really try to implement that in my work ethic. Not really trying to say no to anybody, and that put me in positions where I'm cutting Asian hair, where I'm cutting like Afro hair, Latino hair. So now I'm cutting all hair types, and that just opened way more doors because I scale for a larger market, especially with age bracket too. Like now I see myself cutting older people. So
would you say Dom was a mentor to you?
Oh, most definitely. Dom and Angel, they both played as mentors for me and my journey, man. It's been tough, and they definitely been people I could go to when I had any questions.
They definitely.
And
and that's good for all the young aspiring barbers watching this. They could be taking notes, and the 2 things that I heard, joining the right team, the 3 things actually: joining the right team, getting comfortable with being uncomfortable, and a mentor. Having somebody that can kind of guide you on your path. That's definitely important.
I would definitely say that's where I want to become a mentor for other young barbers. And for any young barbers watching, I highly suggest trying to get 2-3 years in the barber shop because the experience is like no other. Like if you find yourself not fully booked, you're gonna end up booked if you really want to eat.
Especially if you're at the right shop.
You at the right shop and you come in there hungry.
And I did 6 years in the basement before I went into my first shop. And what I learned in my first week, I probably learned more in my whole 6 years of cutting the basement. I was just, going on YouTube like, oh, damn, let me try that. But the fact that you're in a barbershop cut after cut after cut, you're putting in more miles. You know what I mean? Like you're learning way faster. Definitely. Now, you have a strong clientele. What would you say is your most effective way to build a clientele?
So, with my experience, I say the best way to build a clientele is staying consistent. There's a lot of clients that are looking for consistent barbers that can get them in the chair.
And reliable barbers. I remember that was always a thing, just hearing about barbers like, oh, I went to the barber shop and it was closed and I had an appointment. And nobody showed up, wasn't answering his phones, probably partying the night before, So yeah, that's a big thing, and it gives the barber industry like a bad name. Like people kind of look down on us, like we're not professionals.
Exactly.
And sometimes that whole image kind of messes it up for the barbers that do put in the work. But
I agree with that fully, man.
But yeah, just being a reliable barber, definitely. Any other effective ways to build the clientele that you could think of?
I'll definitely say trying to scale your market on social media or any other platform. We got TikTok, Instagram. I mean, you can name 5 more, 10 more. So when you open yourself to social media, you're scaling yourself to anyone. You're now finding your audience. You know what I'm saying? So when I started posting on Instagram, I seen a lot of more people coming to me. TikTok, I seen I had someone sit in my chair like, yeah, I watched your TikTok video, and that made me want to come get a cut. I'm like, wow, that's the power of social media, the good power.
Nowadays, because back in the day, you build a clientele by going to a good barber shop and racking up them walk-ins and locking them in. But now it's like the traffic you can get from social media is just crazy. And the algorithm's insane these days. Like, you could be a roofer, go on social media, tell the world, look, I'm a roofer, I own a roofing business. If you need a new roof in the Mayfair area, let me know. And the algorithm will literally target people in Mayfair that need a new roof. That's crazy,
That's
and
crazy.
that's why they say like these ads that we see on Facebook and Instagram are creepy, but at the same time, that's the AI algorithm that's getting us, linking the buyers with the sellers and the sellers with the buyers, and
Yeah.
it's really effective, especially for barbers, man. Like I get people all the time, like working up here in the studio, it's just like all social media traffic. If I get any new people, yeah, I found you on TikTok, so it's definitely a powerful tool.
Mm-hmm.
Now that was client building strategies. What would you say is the most important way to keep your clients that you already have?
You
Which
see,
is really
that's
important.
a great question. So one of my things I like to go by when it comes to like keeping my clients is keeping them comfortable. Like I don't want to have my client waiting too long. I don't want them like feeling like I'm rushing their haircut or whatever the case may be. So like basically just getting them to understand like, look, I got you. This your cut, you know?
Yeah. Um. Now, you said you were charging 15, right?
Yeah, when I started, yeah.
Now, what are you charging now?
I'll say my pricing is a little different depending on the service, but
Mm-hmm.
I say around 35.
35.
Yeah.
And then that's for like a full service cut for an
Now
adult.
for full service, I'm charging about like 40.
Okay. Now this is a good question right here. You did mention you might be raising your prices soon.
Yeah, that's definitely something I've been thinking about.
Now, for young barbers wondering, because there could be barbers that are still in that $15 stage. Now, when do you think is a good time or appropriate time to raise your prices?
This is also a great question because I honestly feel like it's something I'm dealing with at the moment. Like
Mm-hmm.
once you build your clientele and you see it's hard to get in your normal clients because your book is full and now it's interfering with your days off or whatever day you guys spend with your family. I said that you take that advantage to either open your schedule more or you can start charging more.
Yeah. And I hear Dom preach this all the time. It's all about raising the demand before you raise that price.
Mm-hmm.
Because the if the demand is high, the price, the value and the price got to be high,
Right.
and that'll definitely work out where you got these cheap customers or customers that don't respect your time, and once you raise your prices, you start locking in people that really take it
Exactly.
serious.
Exactly. And unfortunately, like I don't want to have to do like deposits and stuff like that, but once you do deposits, you kind of lock in.
Yeah.
Especially people don't play with their money nowadays. So if they had to put in a $15 deposit, most likely they're gonna value that appointment more versus somebody who didn't.
Now, do you do prepayment only for
Mm,
appointments, or
no, not at the moment,
does it
but
depend on the client? Do you ever do it?
yeah, it depends. Like if I see someone like constantly canceling, constantly I can't make it, then I'll put them on a prepaid list and
Or worse, a no call, no
or
show.
no call,
Yeah.
no
How
show.
do you treat
Yeah.
no call, no shows? You just
So
set them on
I'll
prepayment, or?
Yeah, I'll put them on a no-show list, so make them pay next time
Hmm.
before they schedule their appointment, and I'll definitely contact them and let them know, like, hey, I might have had somebody else I could have put on the chair. There was a walk-in that just came in, and I was waiting for you, and I told them I couldn't take them.
Right, that could definitely mess up your money.
Yep.
Definitely. Um, Now, let's say you had a client that's been coming to you since back when you were charging 15. He's paying a good price now, or like, yeah, your current price. Are there any clients that you grandfather into old prices?
Not really. I wouldn't say
Or if you
so.
raise your prices, it's the price for
Yeah,
everybody.
like it's not like I'll look out for them. I'll
Mm-hmm.
put it like that.
Yeah.
Like sometimes, if I give them a full cut and like they got a cut a week ago, I would have charged them like 25, 30.
Okay.
Especially if it didn't take me as long.
Okay. Yeah,
I
that's
feel like
fair.
that's something that really is smart too. Like what I see what you doing with the subscription cuts,
Mm-hmm.
like you cutting people who want cuts every week. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
And that cut isn't going to take as long if you cut them last week.
Yeah, yeah.
So it's definitely a way to find a market too, and the people who need that haircut within every week or two.
Yeah. What's your approach to social media and what works best for you?
My approach to social media, okay, so
Because
I try.
I do want to say to the camera too. When I came in for my interview, I don't even know if you remember this. You were making content for YouTube, and you were studying for your exam. You had your book for your exam, and you were making the content. So you were kind of like, already on grind mode when I met you, and that was a good sign. That was like right away. I was just like, oh, I might like it here. I got some people that are into making content, because a lot of the barbershops I was at, it's just all old heads. Like the barbers that like they built the clientele off the streets. Like you know what I mean. They don't do social media.
They don't try to take it to the next level.
Yeah, exactly. But yeah, what's your approach to social media? What works best for you?
So honestly, when it comes to social media, I feel like I'm still trying to figure it out what works best for me. But what's been working for me at the moment, I feel like, trying to interact with whoever is in that field of haircuts. There's people who will go on Instagram just to see people cut hair, just to see a before and after, So I'm really trying to find what works best for me, like, and probably stick with it. There's a lot of different things I'm trying at the moment. I try before and after, little music videos, like pictures of my haircuts, but there's gonna be something that like makes me stand out from everybody else.
Yeah, you're definitely gonna find like that niche, that the branding, the personal branding.
Yeah, so it might just take that one video to blow up, and it's just something I could do in the rest of my videos that has its own audience.
Yeah, definitely. What type of videos will you say get the most traction?
So I think recently I've been posting these music videos, and they've been doing like most of my numbers. Like I'll do a haircut in my studio, and then I'll have a music playing in the background while I'm doing the cut, and I have somebody come record a video.
Okay. Are those like shorts, like like 1 minute video kind of things?
Yeah.
Okay.
They're like a minute videos, and I really just try and get like my energy in the video so people can feel what it's like getting cut by CJ.
Yeah. And that's the real big thing with social media versus a walk-in. You get somebody that walks in, they're just looking for an available barber. You're nice enough to squeeze them in, even though you're booked. You're nice enough to squeeze them in, but you gotta, deal with somebody being skeptical and go through that process. There's like tension, of him being skeptical, even looking in the mirror. You doing this right? So like you got to get past that tension, and every time once he looks in the mirror, he's gonna love it, and I'm locking him in. I just got to get through this tension,
right.
But someone on social media, they've been watching your videos. They kind of got an idea of what your personality is like. By the time they make it in your chair, it's an honor to be in your chair. They're like, damn, I'm getting cut. This is CJ on the rise. You know what I mean? Like,
so they'll sit there with their eyes closed, the whole haircut open it, and
wow. And it's the first time getting cut. I don't even gotta look at it.
Yeah, nah, no, thank you.
Crazy.
You don't gotta give me the mirror.
Yeah. Now, but how do you balance cutting hair and making content? Because you probably work like a good 40, 50 hours a week. How do you find time to make content? How do you do that?
Honestly, it's something I really I love. Like, I feel like when you build passion for something, you will make time for it no matter what. So I really find myself trying to edit videos after work or on my off days. I try not to overwhelm myself with making too much content.
Yeah.
But honestly, it's still something I need to work on. I wanna start pitching out more content, and it's something I feel like I'm not doing enough.
Yeah.
So maybe hopping on like a schedule so I can stay consistent. Probably post a video or two every week on YouTube. Probably every day on Instagram.
Would you say you're passionate about making content?
I'll definitely say I'm passionate about making content.
What do you get out of making content?
So,
but besides bringing in business, like what makes that passion?
Honestly, bro, it's a bigger purpose. Like the way I see it is everybody has their own purpose in life, and I realized like throughout my journey, like it was hard trying to do things alone. I had to understand me, and most importantly, build a connection with God, bro. And he helped me find my path, and he helped me include him in my path. And now I feel like with that, I could do it all. Like there's nothing that's gonna stop me, but whatever doubt I have.
Yeah. Yeah, I feel like everybody should be making content for real. Regardless if you're a business owner or what. I think not using the internet is like, because I feel like everybody's here for a reason and everybody has a purpose, and everyone can serve that purpose through social media,
Right.
whatever it is, whether you're meant to entertain, you're meant to motivate, educate, whatever it is, I feel like everyone should be on social media. And in my eyes, anybody that doesn't want to make content is selfish. That's
Right.
how I look at it. You know what I mean? If you don't want to put people on the game, or like, just motivate them or anything, like, what value are you really bringing to the world? We have the internet now, and people are still stuck in times where there's no internet. And I think everybody should be on it, man. I feel like everybody has a story too. That's why I started this podcast, to dive deep into people's stories, because these stories can really help people out. They could be in that same position you used to be in, and that's when I make content, I'm literally talking to my older self, like, I want to be what I needed back when I started out as a barber. I needed somebody like me. But what keeps you motivated, really?
What keeps me
Content
motivated?
wise, what keeps you, turning that camera on? What?
Honestly, I'll say what keeps me motivated is just trying to get where I want to be. Honestly, I'm just on a scale right now. I feel like everybody's their own stock. We have moments where we're up and down, So
Yeah.
that's really how I picked my name too, CJ on the rise, because I might have moments where I'm down, but my plan is always to keep going back up. So
Always, man. And
so
I like that CJ on the rise. Like, you could be, on top, in somebody else's eyes, but you're always trying to grow. Like, a young
always
barber might look at you and that's his end goal. Like, I just want to be a successful barber and I'm good with that, But you're always looking to move up and to level up, because I always say the moment you stop learning and you don't want to level up is the moment you give up on your full potential. There's a reason why 80-year-old billionaires are still hustling. Like, they're curious. I want to see how far I can take this. You know what I mean?
yeah.
And that's real hustle. That's real grind. And you being 20 years old, it's crazy. I definitely wasn't doing what you were doing at 20, man. I was a knucklehead for real, bro. Up to no good, making money in all the wrong ways. I was a talented barber too, and I didn't take it serious. You know what I mean? I just wanted to be in the streets and worry about these females. So, like, what keeps you disciplined, especially at your age?
You know what? That's a great question, bro, because I feel like, especially the city we live in, it's so easy to get distracted. It's so easy to get in the mix of being
Of
somewhere
course,
doing
you
something you
know.
shouldn't.
I feel like a lot of these kids are lost, man. Like, they don't even know what happiness is, and how to serve their purpose. They're just like, what can I do that looks good and that gives me quick results or something. You know what I mean? Like working at Subway ain't an option.
Right.
And it's a bad way of thinking, man. People got to start somewhere, and they got to stay out of trouble too, because that's the best advice I can get. You're 20 years old. I was 20 when I got my first adult case, my first charges as an adult. I always had juvenile charges, but yeah, I just turned 20. And like, the best advice I can give somebody at that age is stay out of trouble, so you're not wasting so much time trying to get out of trouble. Like, I'm 31 years old, and I'm just getting off of probation. Like, probably this summer I get off, but I wasted a lot of time and money in my 20s just trying to get myself out of trouble. You know what I mean? Trying to take those trying to cut corners, and that kind of messed me up. So
But what helped me, like, all around, I would definitely just say, you know, just experiences of life, man. I've seen myself in situations where I didn't feel real comfortable being in, and a lot of younger friends I had like went through it. Unfortunately, not here with us today. So I really see where certain things will lead me to. And when I'm locked in cutting hair, it's just freedom in its own. Like, it's something I love doing. It's something where I'm not even getting in trouble. I'm making money. I'm doing what I need to do.
yeah, and that's good that you learn from other people's mistakes, man. I can do that, but with certain things, and especially when I was young, I was hard headed, and I was like, oh, they didn't do it right. I'm gonna go do it, but I'm gonna do it better. You know what I mean? And I learned the hard way. I was just another statistic. You know what I mean? Like, you can't break the rules in life and think you're gonna be successful. There's rules to being
Mm-mm.
successful. You know what I mean? You're definitely
Yeah,
following all those rules.
right. And when you're trying to get them shortcuts, you might get to where you're like where you want to be, but you look back like, dang, I didn't really have to do it that way.
Hmm.
Because now when you tell people how you got it, that's not the right way. You're
Yeah.
gonna inspire somebody else to do something wrong,
Hmm.
So that's one way that I put it. Like a lot of these younger people nowadays, they don't have good guidance. They don't have good leadership. They may see people making money, but it may be throughout the streets, or it might be trying to do something the wrong way.
The wrong mentors,
Hmm.
looking up to the wrong people, wrong role models. That's why it's important. Like, you got a kid on the way. It's really important for your kid to look up to you.
Yeah,
You gotta be that person that, like, my dad's a superhero. He he's who I want to be. I want to aspire to be him. Because if you lame, guess what they're gonna do? They're gonna go get another
yeah,
mentor and get a role model that's no good. You know what I mean? So you got to play that part. It's
yeah,
important.
man. That's definitely something that's going to take a big impact too, man.
When's
So,
your girl due?
late August, about 22nd. That's what they're
Man,
saying.
August
So we're gonna
baby. That's
see.
what's up, man.
Yeah.
Now, what really motivates you to grind this hard?
What motivates me to
Like,
grind
like
this hard,
let's say,
bro?
like you're tired as hell, your back's killing you, and you still got five more cuts back to back. What pushes you to get through the day?
What honestly pushes me is just the mindset of my head that go get it. Like,
Yeah, because yeah, I always see, even my girl sees it. Like, you be here late, you be here by yourself late always,
hmm
and that's like somebody that already got five kids and got a mortgage and all this stuff, and like they grind at that point, but like you're trying to grind before all that,
yeah,
like, so that's
it's
definitely
definitely
cool,
it
man.
definitely
Yeah.
ties into a mental thing. Like, all right, you want it, but how bad? You want it that bad that you'll be able to risk your after hour time to stay late at the barber shop, come in early. That's
Yeah.
gonna show someone true potential like that. That I'm younger and people see me staying late.
And you don't have a boss telling you, yo, you gotta stay late. Like, you
Right,
make your own schedule. If you want to reschedule those clients, you have that option, but you
right,
don't do it. That's
right.
discipline. That's real
And I
discipline.
built a discipline to really stay true to my schedule, try not to work around it. So
Yeah.
that's another thing. Like when starting off cutting, you really have to just make a lot of time into just trying to get people into the chair, making them taking those risks, taking the opportunity to stand outside with a sign saying, "Look, this is where I'm cutting at." Like somebody's gonna drive by and like just see like, "Oh, this kid has an ethic. He's not cutting nobody, but he's outside holding a sign,
Yeah.
showing that he wants to put somebody in his chair."
Yeah. Yeah. Now the big question is, where do you see yourself in 5 years?
In 5 years, where I see myself, man, I really want to scale where I'm doing right now. So I want to definitely do better on my YouTube.
Mm-hmm.
I say in 5 years, hopefully have about like 10K. Scale my Instagram. Definitely keep getting more follows. Also want to get involved with like teaching, bro. I feel like with everything I'm learning, there's so much you can teach.
Mm-hmm.
Everybody has their own style. Everybody has their own ways. Like for instance, you start doing the man units. That's something I will be interested in learning.
Yeah.
That's something we could both become good at and like teach a whole group of people that
Yeah.
want to learn how to do it.
Yeah. And
So,
there's so much money in teaching, man. It's crazy. I just
yeah,
started doing my online courses. I got the free course that teaches barbers the basics, and then I got the course that's $150, which people like been purchasing,
yeah,
and it's crazy. Like, my heart stops when I see somebody purchase it, because I'm like, all my years of trial and error is paying off. You know what I
yeah,
mean? Like, and the course that they pay for, it's how to build a clientele, a loyal clientele, and convert those clients into subscribers that pay you every month. Because there's a lot of barbers trying to hop on the subscription wave, and they're hitting me up, like, even trying to put money in my pocket to get on the phone, which is cool. But if I can utilize that, that market, where people, they want to learn, I don't want to do it with active income, because I have to take time away from my family and go on the phone. You know what I mean? So if I really wanted to make money that way, I'd be on the phone all day. So I
hmm
said, you know what? Let me just make a course. It took me about 48 hours to put those courses together, and it's paying off. And now, it's just on autopilot. That thing's just, making me money, and it's like like an online product, like a hair product or a book that I'm selling. Like just
no, that's
recurring
awesome.
revenue.
That'll be like the end goal, man. I want to find my like greater purpose, and I honestly think that's just motivating other people and teaching. Like
Yeah.
I don't want to be selfish with my craft. I want to be able to like teach other people
Yeah.
how I did it.
Yeah, you like I said, you gotta bring purpose to the world, man. That's why God got you here. He knows you can serve a purpose in this
Right.
world, so you gotta serve it, or you're stepping away from God's plan, God's path.
Honestly, too, I feel like everybody's journey is different. Like some people don't have the opportunity to start young, and that might like dismotivate them because they see younger people doing better than them. But it should be something that that helps motivate you. Honestly, I feel like you shouldn't take anything personal when it comes to barbering. If you see somebody doing better than you, it should be like, oh man, like that's motivating me to do better. I feel like it's a lot of like, I want to say hate, but it's like we all do the same thing in this industry. I wish there was just more support when it came to barbers.
Yeah, definitely, man. What advice would you say you have for any aspiring barber?
So like somebody who's trying to inspire people, like a barber.
Not someone who's trying to be a barber.
Oh, so anyone trying to be a barber, my advice is to just really understand why you want to become a barber, and also build that discipline to do what it takes to become a barber. It's just not like waking up one day like, yeah, I'm gonna be a barber. It's more to that. You gotta find a love in it. You gotta find your purpose in barbering. You're gonna be put in so many situations as a barber that you're gonna want to quit. There's gonna be times where you cut children who aren't cooperating. There's gonna be people you gotta deal. You have to understand how to become a people pleaser and really just connect with whoever's on your chair. You know what I'm saying? There's gonna be people you run into who might not connect with you, and they might not just be for you as a barber. And that's why this market is so huge, because everybody gets to find the barber that works for them.
So many different personalities.
Exactly.
What would you say is more? Excuse me. What would you say is more important? Customer service or skills?
That's a great question, bro. Honestly, I say between the two, I say your customer service, and that's surprising because when it comes down to barbering, like skill is the main thing people are looking for. You know what I'm saying? But what is it? What is great skill with a horrible experience?
Yeah, it's two very important things that I include in my course by building a clientele: experience and convenience. And you can't underestimate that experience part, because somebody has a bad experience, it really doesn't matter how good the cut looks when they look in the mirror. That cut could last forever, and it's still, I don't really want to go back there.
Because it could be probably your first time cutting somebody, and the cut wasn't exactly how they wanted it, but you did your best. You talked to them, you got them comfortable, and you was open to understand that. Like, if you hear them out, if you give them the mirror and they say, "Oh, that's not the cut I want," and you listening to them, you're not trying to go back and forth with them, and you're like, "Okay, like I understand how you want your cut now. Next time, I promise we're gonna do it different."
Right.
Just being open to like correcting your mistakes, being empathetic about it, and that'll possibly even bring that person back to your chair.
Absolutely,
like, I'm not a perfect barber.
That's crazy. That's another thing I say in my course, where even messing up a haircut could make or break you. That you can see that as an opportunity. The way you handle that can lock them in for life. You know what I mean? They're like, man, he didn't get the haircut right, but he was really determined on getting it right, and I'm gonna give him another try. Right. Especially if you got a good personality. Because I've seen it, man. The proof is there. Like, there's barbers who are trash. Like me starting out in the barbershop, like, I had the skills, and I'm seeing these barbers that are trash. I'm like, yo, like, he's booming. Like, like he's got people after people. Like, this man's probably making like a good 3-4 racks a week, and he can't cut. You know what I mean? Like, he might have a little bit of speed, but like, the quality of the cut ain't there. And it's like, and then some people even go for that. Like, they just want to get in and out of the chair. No chair time. 10-minute cut, get me out of here. And there is a market for that. I call that the express aisle barber. But
express aisle.
Yeah. Some people, they don't want to sit in the chair all day. But I've seen where, like, some people are like, yo, that's he be messing up my cut, but it's all right. He'll get it together. You know what I mean? Like he's a good guy. Like, so like, just from being a good guy, they'll give you that chance to perfect your craft on them. You know what I mean? And that's huge. And that builds a bond that's lasts for a lifetime.
Honestly, you build like a trust between them. I still got clients till I cut this day, and I show them their first haircuts, bro, and they're like, damn, You was trashing my shit, bro. I'm like, look, bro, you still here with me. Now I value you more as a client. You know, you more like somebody who came up with me. So
he came up in looks, you came up in skills.
Exactly. Like if it wasn't for you risking your haircut, I wouldn't be where I'm at, you know.
Now who are some people in your life that help you get to where you're at today?
I'd definitely say my family, man. When I first started cutting, I was cutting out my house, so like just my mom letting me cut out the crib was something big, bro. Like not a lot of parents will be letting somebody bring people,
right,
especially starting off as a career. Like maybe if you're late, you know you got clientele, but I'm starting bringing people to my bedroom at that, bro. I had to go upstairs.
You don't got carpet in the bedroom, do you?
Nah, bro. But I have my
I've
bed.
heard of that, like stories where you ever heard of he's a comedian now, Ralph Barbosa or something like that.
Yeah. He used to cut hair.
He's a comedian. He's a stand-up comedian. He's from somewhere in Texas, Houston, Austin, something like that. And he used to cut hair, and he tells the story about how he had carpet in the room, and like he was cutting hair.
Vacuum.
And like he would tell stories about how he would chip people up, but he was young. I forget how old he said, but he was like pretty young, and like somebody would like look at the mirror. And it's like a $5 cut, and they're saying like, "Yo, like this ain't looking right." And he's like, "Bro, like you're getting cut by like a 12-year-old with Dragon Ball Z posters on the wall. Like, you know what I mean? What you expect?
Be realistic.
You know what I mean? Yeah." But he would tell stories about how he cut with the carpet, and so you didn't have no carpet. And I know you're in the garage now when you cut at home, right? Mm-hmm. When did that happen?
That happened roughly like 2 years ago, bro. It's been its own journey trying to build that studio. I say it took about a year to fully build it. But it's still in the works in progress, man. That's definitely something I look at as like my own workspace, my own studio, my own spot. That's where I could take my creativity to the next level.
That's how I feel about this room. Like at home, I got my little man cave, and that's where ideas are born. But this is where ideas come to life. My office, my content room, and my barber room. So it's always important to have that space.
It's like hard to find that with just at a barber station sometimes. Like, I mean, you can try and bring so much like onto your station, but it's like, especially if you're working next to different barbers, you really just need what you need to cut. So to have a camera rolling, it's it feels a little awkward, but that's definitely something I had to get used to, like being uncomfortable with, like the only one in the shop trying to record while I'm cutting, and I got 2 people waiting for me. Like,
and for content creators, that's why I love having like the private studio, because you don't have to wait for it to be the right vibe in the barbershop. Because when it's busy and packed and the money's flowing, where are you gonna put your ring light? And some people don't want to be on camera. You know what I mean? Like that might be a reason they don't come back, because they're like, yeah, they always recording me, and then like meanwhile you're not even recording them. Like they just see a camera and think like, oh, I don't want to be on camera. So it's nice to have the private studio and to have your own space where you kind of like can push out all the content you need without having to worry about the shop vibe. Before we end it, where can people find you? What's your Instagram?
All right, so my Instagram is CJ on the Rise.
I'm gonna put it on the bottom for you.
CJ on the Rise. My Instagram, TikTok, Facebook, and my Threads. That's pretty much all the platforms I'm on as of right now. So
all right, nice.
And my YouTube too. I'm not sure if I put that, but
CJ on the Rise.
I'll go subscribe. CJ on the Rise, man.
All right, man. Well, appreciate you
man,
coming, man.
It's been a opportunity, bro. Thank you so much.
And I think this interview could definitely bring a lot of value to young barbers.
Oh, most definitely, bro. That's the plan.
That's what it's all about, man. Yeah.
I hope everybody watching this enjoyed, man.
Maybe people might watch this video and be like, "Yo, I heard you were looking for somebody to mentor." You know what I mean? And you can walk them through that process of getting their skills up and getting their clientele up. That'd be a blessing, man.
Bro, I'm grateful for this opportunity, man.
Appreciate you, man.
Tap in with Teo.
Man, I see so much potential in this podcast.